officially welcome, now that we're officially starting. Our topic for today, as y'all hopefully know, is Emotional Mastery Part 2. So we're continuing our discussion from last week, but we are going to take just a couple of quick minutes and bring everybody up to speed because a lot of people weren't able to join us last week. We've got new friends with us, so we're going to get everybody very quickly on the same page. So we're also going to start this class the same way we start every single week, which is a very quick detox of all of the garbage from the week. Okay? So in this class on empowerment for Jewish women, our goal is to learn how to maximize our ultimate potential and purpose on this planet. So we know that all Jews have one collective purpose of being a light to the nations and making a place for Hashem, for God in this world. That's collectively all of us. But each one of us have a unique individual purpose. And most people go through their entire life without ever actually waking up to the concept that, hey, there is something unique that only I can bring to this world. In fact, the Lubavitcher Rebbe says that our birthday is the day that Hashem decided that the world could no longer live without us. And Hashem does not have time to waste making someone that doesn't count, that isn't important, that isn't meant to be here. So our job now, hey Karen, come on in. Our job is to lean in and allow ourselves, basically simply by opening up to the process, to start waking up to what our individual unique purpose is. As we say every week, nobody is sent into this world with a little note card attached to our hip that says, here is your purpose, and here's what's going to happen when you're 15, when you're 30, when you're 60. We don't get those cliff notes, right? Unfortunately, we don't have the instruction manual. So our whole purpose is to do the internal work to start seeking and looking at what that is. Each one of us has a moment of awakening. We go through most of our lives asleep. The overwhelming majority of the world goes through their entire lives asleep. And by asleep, I mean we think our job here is just to eat, drink, be merry, be a good person, do the best that I can, enjoy, try to find a way to enjoy, try to find a way to get the bills paid. And then when we start to grow up, meaning as kids, we have dreams. Oh, when I grow up, I'm gonna doctor, lawyer, astronaut, whatever. And then as we start to get older, our dreams start to fade because of how our light was diminished in childhood through experiences that make us pull back. We get rejected, we get minimized, we get judged, we get made fun of, we get criticized, whatever these things are. We have failure experiences that minimize us. All of a sudden we woke up one day and we're just like in survival mode. Let me pay the bills. Baruch Hashem, thank God everyone's healthy. Everyone's alive. Huh? And I don't know about y'all, but that doesn't work for me. I was 25 years old on the train from North Dallas into downtown Dallas on one day I was headed into work at JP Morgan. I had a 2-hour commute every day, and I was supposed to be using the 2-hour commute to study. I was in graduate school, and I was supposed to be working on my MBA program while I was commuting back and forth. And I found myself just looking out the window going, ugh, is this it? Is this all there is? And I promise you, I felt like I was having a quarter-life crisis. And I thought, I am too young to be this disenchanted with the world. And from that point forward, I started this journey. Of course, I had no idea how it was going to unfold. I had no idea I was Jewish at the time. It would still be another 8 years before I figured that out. But little by little, I started opening myself up, and I went through some major pivots in my life, which we'll talk about in a little bit, just by way of example. And every time I went through those pivots, everyone around me was like, what are you doing? That's so weird. That's not what we do. That's not normal. You're a bit much. because I was pushing the limits on the status quo of the comfort zone of everyone that I knew around me. And what do people do in our comfort zone? Guess what? First of all, mediocre is miserable. Rule number 1. Okay? Rule number 2, misery loves company. So if everybody around us is like surviving in the status quo, and you all of a sudden decide, hey, I'm meant for more. Not from an ego place, but because you know that there is a light shining in you. Sometimes it feels like we're a caged animal, like we just want to break free and we don't even know from what. We just know that we're kind of being like stifled and paralyzed in the place that we are. You know what that is? That is your neshama, that is your soul calling out. Because God plants dreams in every single one of us. And our pursuit of those dreams sends us on a unique path where we're meant to go in the world to shine our divine light. Now, as we go in that pursuit, it's not easy. The fact that we're expecting life to be easy is a virus that has been planted in this world. In fact, the Torah tells us man is made to toil. To toil, to work. Not because it's a punishment. We're not all still here suffering from the sin of Adam and Eve, from Adam and Chava, okay? You think Hashem didn't know what was going to happen in Gan Eden when it happened? Of course he did. It was all a part of the divine plan. The toil is what builds our character. The toil is what opens us up to realize, hey, I actually can't do it all on my own. So as we experience these tests, see what happens is when life is easy, on the very rare seasons of life where it's easy, where we think we can kick back on easy street, we think it's us. We start to take things for granted. And we're like, oh, look what I've done. Look at my business. Look at my income. Look at my health. Look at my kids. And we're so proud that we forget everything is a gift. Literally, everything is a gift. So Hashem has to come along and tap us on the shoulder and remind us, hey, you have nothing. And that's not in a fire and brimstone kind of way of you have nothing, but it's you have nothing without me. And our job is to be partners in creation. The first time I heard that, I was like, ooh, sounds a little bit new age. We're supposed to be partners with Hashem in creation. How do we do that? Because every single one of us have a piece of the infinite inside us. And infinite has no limits. So because you are a daughter of the King, you are by default limitless. The only thing that's keeping us small is our thinking, our limitations. And where do we get these limitations from? We absorb them throughout our life. So our job in this class, our goal together, is to do the brainwashing that is necessary to, first of all, wake up to this reality and this awareness, and then we start doing the cleansing. We start cleansing of the old limiting beliefs, the old toxic programming, all those mindset pieces that have been planted in the soil of our mind our entire life. And then as we start to do that, guess what we can do? We start shedding. We start shedding all of these old programs that keep us small. And as we start getting rid of the garbage, then we can make way for new thoughts, new belief systems, new programming that can actually empower us to step into our full light. Have you ever heard the phrase, why go to the ocean with a teaspoon? Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing every day when we wake up without this awareness. And if our hands are so full holding all the drama and all the baggage, we think that we have to save the world, because if I stop trying to control everything for 1 second, queen of control, right here, original control queen, if we think that we have to control it, I mean, what if Hashem doesn't have me to be a secretary, who's going to run the world? My whole universe will fall apart, okay? So if our hands are so full with all the baggage, with all the problem solving, with all the drama, guess what? Can I receive gifts if I'm so busy holding all the boxes and all? No. Okay? So that is our daily exercise, our weekly exercise of clearing all that out to reposition our mindset so that now, for the rest of our time together, we can be in the right mindset to reframe. Yes? Mm-hmm. So for the next 45 minutes, I'm going to invite you to try your darndest to put all your life drama on hold. Okay? Everything that is screaming at you at home is still going to be there, I promise you, in 45 minutes or an hour when you walk back through that door. Okay? So have you ever heard of the trouble tree? This is one of my favorite stories from Hasidus. So many, like back in the days of the shtetl, like, several hundred years ago, there was a man, he worked on a farm. He lived in a little home on the side of the farm. He didn't own the farm, but he worked there. And his family had a little tiny, very, very modest house off to the side of the farm. And he had this tree in the front of his house. And his neighbors always observed that every evening on his way home, he would stop and touch the tree, pat the tree. Who needs to pet a tree? It's kind of weird. But they just observed this year after year. He was always petting the tree on his way in. And then on the way in the morning, he'd pet the tree again. So finally one day the neighbor was like, no, what is this with the petting of the tree? He said, this is my trouble tree. Why? He said, because I work so hard and I am barely able to contain the stress of everything that's happening around me, hard manual physical labor, barely making ends meet, et cetera, et cetera. He said, but when I go through that door, at the end of the day, my wife and kids don't need all that trouble. They need me. So every day before I walk in the door, I put all my troubles on the trouble tree. And I work hard to be present while I'm home. And then in the morning, I pick them back up on my way out the door. So what if we just for today, check your stuff at the trouble tree. We'll be here fully, and then you can pick it up on your way out, and then you're going to drop it again when you get home tonight. Okay? So last week, we introduced a new concept of emotional mastery. Now, that was a layer because all fall, we've been working on what we have to do to reprogram our mindset from all these negative, toxic thoughts that keep us small, that keep us in this invisible prison. Okay? So we started out with gratitude. Absolutely step number one. Okay? It's a daily work to focus on being grateful. We know that whatever we focus on grows. And we know that Hashem is over us like a protective shadow. It says this in Tehillim, in Psalms. That means if I am running around all day fretting and thinking that I control everything, what's Hashem going to do? Cool. You got this. Let me know how it works out for you. Okay? But if I'm focused on gratitude, and if I am fully relying on Hashem, which brings the second layer, that's bitachon, which means full, utter trust and reliance on Hashem, then he is going to give us more to be grateful for, and he's going to step in and send us everything we need. Okay? When it says in Tehillim in Psalms, rely on me and I will give you the desires of your heart, we are failing to understand what that means. We have been taught to believe throughout our lifetime that that is too big of an ask. I think, wow, he's not going to really give me the desires of my heart. He's going to give me what he thinks is best for me. Maybe I'm not going to like it, but I'm sure it's best. Okay? Whatever Hashem does is for the best, for sure. Absolutely. But that's the starting point. That's not the finish point. Okay? So first, gratitude. Secondly, bitachon. Those are both a daily work. Okay? After that, we added in the layer of royalty. Understanding that we are daughters of the King. And Hashem loves each and every one of us so much that it's as if you are the literal only child of the King. Do you think there is anything that you could possibly need that if your dad was the king of the universe, that he wouldn't literally move heaven and earth to create for you? That's our heritage, but we're not tapping into it. We're not believing it. So that's another daily work, is actually working on our regality, what it means to be regal. Okay, in fact, Karen led us in an excellent conversation last week after the camera turned off on what does it mean to be regal, like in a practical way. If I'm home feeling like a shmata, like a rag, how do I actually go, oh, that's me being in galut. That's me living in exile. And in a moment just like that, by making a choice and changing my mind, that's a geula moment, which means I choose to leave exile and step into redemption. Make sense? It happens like that. So these are called geula thoughts, geula moments. Every time we have these geula moments, guess what it does? It sends a shockwave of the ultimate redemption out into the rest of the world. It is a mind bender as we start to think about this. Because as Jews were raised, Ad Motai, when Hashem, when will you send Mashiach? And the Lubavitcher Rebbe teaches us that Mashiach, Hashem is waiting on us to decide we want redemption. Because up till now, we've been too comfortable in Egypt. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a couple of weeks as we get very close to Pesach, of exactly how we can rise above that. But as we are having these geula moments, as we are understanding what it means to be regal, that in any moment I can move from a pity party to shining my light. I can start my first billion in the middle of a bankruptcy. I can start a diet in the middle of a bag of potato chips. We have that power. Nothing stands in the way of the will. Okay? So we worked a couple of weeks on embracing our royalty. And last week, we started talking about channeling our queen energy, what it means to be regal. Okay, and this month in Adar, Purim is next week, so the energy of Queen Esther is permeating and ruling the world right now. So this actually gives us so much more power and support to step into our divine light. Okay, so if we know that our heritage is that Hashem wants to blow your mind with goodness, our job is to start working on our mindset and our daily thoughts that run on autopilot going, come on, is this for real? I mean, my bank account doesn't say I'm the daughter of the king. You know, my house, it's not super regal. You know, whatever these things are. But as we talked about last week, here's what you must know. This is another rule of the game, okay? Do you know what a champion is? A champion is someone who knows the rules of the game and is willing to play by them better than anyone else, okay? So if I want to be a champion in my daily life, and I want to step into my full divine purpose, power, and potential, I've got to understand how the universe works and how Hashem created these things so that I know what tools are actually at my disposal. You with me on this? Because nobody taught us these things when we were younger. Baruch Hashem, they're now coming and being revealed in the world so we can start drinking these things up and we can totally elevate who we are in reality today versus who we were in the past. Why is that? Because reality is what you make it. The subconscious mind does not know any difference between what is actually real and what you are imagining and making up in your mind. Okay? This is why a lie you've heard 1,000 times is more real in your life than a truth you've heard once. Okay? Because the subconscious mind is working on whatever you are feeding it. Okay? So your belief level, here's the rule. Your belief level is the lid on your success in whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish and your goals in life. Now, I used a very triggering word here, success. Okay, the most important thing that we have to remember is that success is what you decide it is. You determine your bar. This does not mean that you got to be the president of the United States or a CEO of any company. You can be if you want to, but that does not define whether you are successful or not. It is not determined by your bank account. It is not determined by what your mama or your daddy are expecting from you. It's not determined by what your friend's social media profile says, that we're all keeping up with the Joneses now is keeping up on our Instagram page. Those are not success. That is an accidental definition of success that keeps you on a treadmill like a rat. Okay? So first thing we have to do is decide, what does success mean to me? What do I actually want from this life? What do I believe Hashem wants from me? And how can I step into my power and purpose and potential more and more and more every day as I'm learning these new belief systems, okay? But how do we actually embrace all of these things when those old voices of shame, guilt, regret, anxiety, fear, past traumas, like they are literally holding us hostage in our own minds? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Okay? You get up in the morning, you're like, yes, today's the day. Monday, this is the week. Brand new month, absolutely, this is my month. And then even before lunch, we got all that stuff on autopilot that is playing again and again and again and keeping us trapped. And we're like, tomorrow. Okay? I'm gonna tell you something. The minute you think tomorrow, that's a program. That is a program running on autopilot that has been trained to take root in your life. Okay? Now, it's very hard to release all of those old patterns of thought and behavior. Right? I'm not saying it's easy. It's simple, meaning it's not complex. But it's not easy. It's quite difficult to actually undo all of that programming. That's why it's a lifetime work. That's why Hashem gives us so many years in this world. Okay, and remember, this is something very important to remember. So long as you're on this earth, eating, sleeping, living, breathing, it means two things. It means you have more to learn and more to give. Always, always, always. We have more to learn and more to give. And the Alter Rebbe, the founder of Chabad, he would say, if you know Aleph, teach Aleph. So whatever you're learning, just pass it on. We don't have to be an expert. The things that I'm sharing with you every day, I am working on myself every day. It's not because I've arrived and conquered all these things in my dreams, okay? But it's a daily work. It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime exercise, okay? So this is exactly how the Sitra Achra, the Yetzer Hara, the other side, keeps us small, keeps us trapped in a prison. Because the other side is all bad all day, constantly bombarding our mind with lies to paralyze us with a feeling of inferiority. That I'll never get there, that I can't measure up, that I can't do it, okay? But guess what, my friend? Here's another rule. This is a game changer. Are you ready? You do not have to believe every stupid thing you think. Okay? Hasidus teaches us that the only reason we even have those bad thoughts is to give us the opportunity to work through them. You know what we think by default? This is an understanding we absorb that is completely false. Is if I think it, I need to follow it. It must be me. It's just me. It's my identity. It's my personality. This is not true. This is not true. The whole you will always have struggles. And there's another saying, new level, new devil. Okay? As you grow, you're going to get different obstacles and challenges. There's never going to be not a struggle. When your struggles are over, Hashem's going to take you home. Say, well done, good job. Okay? But that constant wrestling we feel inside, that's your animal soul wrestling with your godly soul. It means you're human. It means you're a daughter of the king. This is what a Jew is meant to work through. So what we have to stop thinking is because I constantly have this wrestling match. Oh, wait, is it just me? Am I the only one with the wrestling match happening in my mind 24/7? Okay, thank God. Thank you. We're all together. That wrestling match that's happening, we think, what's wrong with me? Right? Don't we think that? What's wrong with me? Why do I struggle with the same this foolishness again and again and again? There is nothing wrong with you. That is the whole point of your journey, is that struggle. And the world needs you to struggle through that and to wrestle through that and to wander around in the dark for a little while you keep doing it. Now, guess what we do? This is me. Every morning it's going to be great. Every day, sometime, but at least by midday. Okay? Every morning, get up, every day. Every morning, get up, every day. Over and over and over. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm tired of this. I'm sick of myself. That's how I feel. But you know what Hashem says? You are his only child. The fact that you get up every morning and recommit means Hashem is so proud of you. That shows him how much you love him. Because you get up every morning excited to try again, to start fresh. And I don't have to wait till the morning, by the way. Like I said, you can start a diet in the middle of a bag of potato chips. And by the way, it has nothing to do with dieting or body image or weight, even though we struggle with that so much. It's just an example, okay? I could be yelling at my husband, which of course never happens. And in the middle of it, I'm like, I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know, something triggered me. I lost it. Let me take it back, let's start over. And sometimes I have to say, I need a minute. Okay, and I will literally walk away and I'll come back. I'm like, I feel like, like a puppy dog with my tail between my legs. Okay, I'm ready to have an adult conversation. That's okay. That's what we do. But the old me, if I'm not working on myself, would storm around for 2 days waiting for him to apologize because clearly he's wrong. Okay, and then guess what? Then we lose 2 days of joy. And the energy in the house, just like, I feel it. I feel it in my gut. I have heaviness in my chest and I can't handle this energy. And it's so painful. So if I would just suck it up and just even in the middle of whatever I'm saying, like, that was really stupid. I don't mean it. Give me a minute. I'll be back for take 2. Okay? So, and that's just one example. We can do the same thing with our kids. Okay? Learning to apologize with your kids is like a superpower. Okay, so every little thing that we're doing, and sometimes I will still, every now and then, I'll have a little tiny blip of road rage, and I'm like, sorry. So whatever it is that we're doing, when we fail, the moment we wake up to it is our opportunity to flip into Geula by shifting our thoughts. You with me on this? So it is never too late. There is nothing wrong with you. It is the whole purpose of your job in this world is to wrestle through these things. You will always have an animal soul and a godly soul. Always. The key is whichever one we feed more grows. So as we're working to feed our godly soul more and more and more and more, what happens is the animal soul actually eventually becomes subservient to the godly soul. Okay? So in the old days, your body, like people would punish their bodies and they were more godly or more spiritual if they were like doing all these crazy extended fasts, or they would like hurt their skin or things, and that would make them more elevated. This is not for today. Okay? The Rebbe says actually that in Geula, your body is more elevated than the neshama. Why is that? Because the neshama could not do any of the mitzvahs, could not do anything for Hashem without your body. So our job now is to merge the two. Okay? This is why there's so much more abundance in the world now, by the way. Because in the ultimate time of Geula, do you agree that the king has abundance? Okay, when the Beis HaMikdash, the temple, was in existence and operating, it was dripping with abundance. Dripping with abundance. And what are all of you? What am I? What are we? We are the temple. Okay, now our job is to receive Geula, which means that you have full permission to expect abundance in your life. But this is a whole different program. We have been programmed with scarcity for the last couple thousand years from being, attacked, chased, minimized, beaten, barely able to make ends meet, etc., etc., etc. Do you know the Rebbe says that every Jew should be able to pay $1 billion in taxes because that's how much abundance is waiting for us? So the whole process is not to go out and become money chasers, okay? It's not so I can say, oh, look at all my money. But it's, what does the daughter of the king, how can I properly represent Hashem? The more I have, the more I can give. So I'm not collecting materialism for my ego to make me look good and feel good and show off all my stuff. That's completely missing the point. But as I can start to reprogram my mind and exercise full bitachon, you literally will have an ocean of joy, happiness, abundance, health, and all good things waiting for us. Now, they don't come without their tests. Everyone has tests. It doesn't mean that we're back on easy street. But it means as we start to allow these thoughts to penetrate, watch what happens. Okay? Now, here's something interesting. Moti has done his own little personal survey. If the minute I start to do tshuva, the minute I start to come closer to Hashem, my life gets easier and all of a sudden I start to make more money, everybody would do tshuva. Everybody would follow Hashem. But Hashem wants to give us the power of true choice. So if all the religious people had everything right and they were rich and they were nice and kind and had no problems, everybody would be religious. But that's not how it works. So a lot of times, the more you start to connect to Hashem, the more obstacles you're going to face. Because that's Hashem giving you a workout and allowing you to draw closer and closer and closer to Him. Okay? So we realize we have to stop punishing ourselves. We have to stop this program of something's wrong with me, I'm never going to get there, I'm never going to get it. Okay? So how do we let that go? This is where the tools of learning to master our emotions actually come into play. Okay? So here's another rule. Either you learn to master your emotions, or they will be the master of you your entire life. Okay? It's like the slave ruling the master. The master got confused. He forgot he was in charge. So he started letting the slaves and the hoodlums run the palace. Okay, most of our emotions have actually been trained throughout the course of our lifetime to run the show. So just like the slave leading the master, we've been completely hijacked. So this is what is happening in our lives until we wake up, have that moment of awakening. And when I say wake up, I don't mean like slap you, you've been stupid. I mean, we have a moment of awakening, okay? And we receive one of the greatest gifts that Hashem ever gave us. Okay, in Hebrew you say, Moach shalit halev. The mind controls the heart. Please forgive me for my butchered Hebrew, okay? But the mind controls the heart. So our emotions run on a program. That's the way Hashem designed it. But guess what that means? They can be reprogrammed whenever we're ready. Okay, it doesn't happen overnight because you didn't get to where you are overnight. But it does happen. Do you know that the Alter Rebbe teaches in the Tanya? The Alter Rebbe is the founder of Chabad. And Tanya is his magnum opus, if you will. He wrote many, 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 many works. But the one that we all still study and learn from every day is called the Tanya. The Alter Rebbe teaches in the Tanya that man is the only creature who walks fully upright. Fully erect, shoulders back, everything, looking up. Even apes that are not man, they're still looking down, right? So fully upright is man. Why is this? All other creatures, four-legged creatures, their mind and their heart are on the same level. They have no executive functioning whatsoever. But our mind is above our heart. And your mind is a muscle that we must train to fully reveal the superpowers that are lying within us, waiting and lying dormant, waiting to be unleashed. Okay? Now, here I'm going to say something that we're going to take a deep breath and try hard not to be triggered by what I'm about to say. Okay? Women, most of the time, are emotional beings. but we're not meant to be. Okay? We are meant to be spiritual beings who feel deeply, yes, and express our emotions deeply, yes, but we're not meant to be the sum total of our emotions. Okay? But this is how we allow ourselves to live. Our emotional state dictates all of our progress on any given day. Fair? True? Up, down, up, down, up, down. And anything else that we are working to do in life, like, it's like we got it drunk and threw it in the back seat, and it is passed out while we're having a minute. Okay? Now, this is the human condition. Okay? This is for sure the condition of women. But what we have to learn is that our mind is a muscle. And the more that we strengthen and exercise this muscle, the more it takes back its power. Again, the slave leading the master versus the master leading the slave. Now, it doesn't mean, but I've been working on this for years, okay? What I can tell you is that there were many, many, many times in the past where I would be up to here with whatever was going on around me. And I would literally, wherever I was, I would prefer to be like in my closet, like rocking in the fetal position, sucking my thumb with a bottle of wine and a bag of chips next to me to self-soothe. Okay, now, what I have learned over time is that, well, let me just say, for me, I still haven't fully mastered my emotions to where I never have a meltdown or I never have a minute. But what I have learned is that the more you work on it, the shorter the meltdowns become. And the further spaced out they become. Okay? So I can still lose it for a minute. And then I learned this other amazing, amazing skill. You want to know what it is? Key. Ready for superpower right now? We can make an appointment to pout about things later. Okay? So if I am responsible for my family or my home or other things that I am doing in the world around me, everything suffers when I lose myself, right? So when I can rise above that and I can really start practicing these things, now I want to share with you two quick definitions, okay? One definition is a gift. The other word is skill, okay? Really quickly, tell me, what is a gift? Shoot me, you don't need to be an Oxford Dictionary version, just anything.
Ability to study.
Ability to what?
To study.
Okay, that's a type of a gift, right? What does a gift mean? Gift.
Somebody gave it to you.
Somebody gave it to you, right? Okay, so I wake up, I was born with gorgeous eyes. It's a gift Hashem gave me. I was born with the gift of gab. It's a gift Hashem gave me. I was born with the natural gift of math. Totally not my gift. It's a gift Hashem gave me. Okay? What is a skill?
Something you learned.
Something I learned. What else?
Something you can be taught.
Something you can be taught. Ding, ding, ding. Yep, both of these are critical. And what else?
Something you develop.
Something I developed by what?
By myself.
Practice, right? You learned it from someone, right? You then are exercising it, practicing it, developing it over and over and over again by practice. Do y'all know the 10,000 hour rule?
Yes.
So the 10,000 hour rule is what has been determined by modern science and in studies of humanity. 10,000 hours is what makes a world-class expert. So if I'm a violinist or a ballerina or an athlete, 10,000 hours of practice is it's like the magic marker of world-class excellence versus, there are a lot of people that are professionals. They still get paid for what they're doing. They're not amateurs, but they're not world-class. They are not the elite. They're not the ones that the books are written about, right? So this 10,000 hours, it means somebody honed their craft. You with me? What if we invested that into our mindset? into rising above this mediocrity space, this invisible prison that we were raised to think this is all there is. And that is the other side keeping us trapped and keeping us small. So if instead of spending my time scrolling on social media or watching YouTube or doing whatever I'm doing, if I decide I want to invest in myself, one of the things we talk a lot about in this class is that we do not want to go down in a pile of potential. Hashem has us here for a reason. What is that? What is that reason? What mark am I meant to make on this world? What level of joy am I meant to experience? How much of the population do you think is living in actual joy? We're surviving. Thanks for noticing me. Do you know joy is very holy? Very holy. The Lubavitcher Rebbe's wife said, you're meant to enjoy life. And as women, we're not enjoying life. We're the martyrs. We come last all the time.
There's no time to enjoy.
There's no time to enjoy, right? That's because busy is a disease of the modern world. Busy is a 4-letter word I don't even let in my front door. It's the B word. Why? Because it means I'm a victim to everybody else around me. I'm not controlling my own time, and I'm certainly not dictating priorities. But for me to set priorities, it means I have to know what success means for me, for my life, for my family, for my mission, right? And it's not about how many trophies can I collect, but it's how much of an impact can I make on this world? How much divine light can I shine? And how much can I connect to Hashem to where I'm like skipping through the day? Can you imagine how goofy you would look skipping through the day because you don't care? That's what a 6-year-old does. You know why? Because they don't care. Because they haven't been beaten down enough yet to realize that, that's too good of a mood, right? But if I understood bitachon in its full definition, if I understood what Hashem has waiting for me, this is what I would do. I would skip down the street with absolute joy. But you know why we don't? Because we don't believe in the guarantee. We still think we have to control, and we're afraid to actually let go. And we're afraid to believe, okay? So, back to our emotions, and the mind controls the heart. So, we are not meant to be controlled by our emotions. It doesn't mean we're not meant to experience them. It doesn't mean that you can never get angry. It doesn't mean that you can never get frustrated. It doesn't mean that when you get angry or frustrated, there's something wrong with you. Again, that's the whole process of working. But let's say, for example, I decide I'm going to play the violin. Okay, I would be honking away. Okay, I tried it in kindergarten. It lasted for about 6 months. Okay, but let's say that I weren't a quitter. Let's say that I wanted to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. Okay, first it's going to be really gross and really bad. Before I can become mediocre, I have to be bad. Right? Before I can become good, I have to be mediocre. Before I can become great, I have to be good. So it's a ladder, right? So same thing with our emotions and our emotional experiences. So if you lose it, it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means you're working through it. So now that we're waking up to this process, okay? So why, even if we know that we're meant to be so much more than our emotions, yet we allow our emotions to hijack our goals, our plans, our dreams, and to minimize us to the lowest possible version of ourselves. Would you agree that's true? Let me think about this for a second. Let's take percentages. So 1 to 100. Have you ever thought about how much of your potential you're living at right now? How much of your power you're operating in? Okay, on any given day, I feel like I'm probably around 30%. Okay, I could be so much more, but I'm working on it. It's a work in progress. But why are we doing that? Because we're duplicating what we see and observe and experience in the world. It's all we know. Okay, we've learned by absorption, a lifetime of observing the people around us. Okay, so what if What if in college, we talked about this last week, what if instead of economics, chemistry, and biology 101, what if we were taught mindset mastery 101? What if we were taught emotional management 101, or time management 101, or money management and financial planning 101? Hello. Okay, we weren't taught these things up till now. So we lived in a continuation of the blind leading the blind. But we don't have to continue this pattern. So I want to give you a few examples, okay? I'm going to rattle off a bunch of examples, and you tell me if you can find yourself in any of these. Ready? Okay, so let's say I'm wanting to lose weight, exercise more, speak kindly to my spouse, maintain my patience and cool with my kids, learn a new skill, anything. Maybe it's coding, maybe it's a new language, maybe it's learning how to, run ads on social media. Maybe I want to build a new business. I want to make more money. Maybe I want to spend or waste less money. Maybe I want to go to bed earlier. Maybe I want to wake up earlier. Maybe I want to spend less time on Netflix or social media. Maybe I want to carve out time for my spiritual growth. Maybe I want to give more to charities or good causes. Anybody find yourself in any of these?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would you agree that any of these can seem easily and totally doable when I'm in the right frame of mind? Mm-hmm. Right? When I'm in a good headspace. When I'm feeling the vibe, and I'm motivated and I'm excited and I'm upbeat on January 1st, right? Woohoo! I'm gonna change myself this year. Okay? This is the optimal state of mind for sure, but it doesn't always come naturally, and it never, ever lasts. So if we wait until we feel like stepping into our greatness, we'll never get there. And that's one of our big diseases, is that we're waiting until we feel like doing things. Why? Because that's our emotion, right? If I feel
It's easier.
like it, right? If I'm in that good headspace, okay? Motivation is garbage, y'all. Okay? It comes and goes. Now, we're all here for motivation. We all need it, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. But if you really want to step into your full potential, nobody's going to do it for you. Right? Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to rescue us. Nobody's coming to do the work for us. No one is coming to deliver our dreams on a silver platter. I don't know about y'all, but I've still not discovered my knight in shining armor, my prince on the white horse that came in to rescue me and whisk me away to Never Never Land.
He just left.
Right? Yeah. I think he went out there to get his horse. Okay? So if we're waiting on an accountability partner or a motivational coach or to feel in the right headspace to reach our goals, we will never get there. This is why we have to learn to grow the muscle of our mind. Okay? Sure, we all need coaching and inspiration, including me. I use it all the time. And it's great and it's helpful. But how long does it last? It comes in spurts. Right? And how about when you've had the wind absolutely knocked out of you? Ever happened to anybody? When somebody betrays you or gossips about you or stabs you in the back or steals from you, attacks you, lies to you, then what? What if you get abandoned? You know what? Life hurts sometimes. Life is hard sometimes, and that pain is real. But what we have to realize is that it is all a part of the puppet show. Do y'all know what the puppet show is? The puppet show is where we remember that Hashem tells us the whole world was created for you. It actually says this in the Torah. The whole world is created for you, which means everything that's happening around us, like I am a part of your puppet show. You are a part of my puppet show. Everything around us, there is nothing but me and Hashem. So all these things that happen to us is a reminder that it's all part of the puppet show. And how do I exercise my mental muscles and my mindset when I've just been knocked in the gut? What do? Does it mean I can't feel sad? No, that's not what it means. That's being human. Okay? Learning to control our emotions does not mean that we have to become robots. God forbid. That is not the objective. Okay? We are spiritual beings that are meant to feel deeply. But we do not get sucked into being a victim of our emotions, right? And we're going to talk in a couple of weeks about how we can get to a state where yes and no are equal. Can you imagine? Which means good and bad, I operate the same way. Okay, that's a whole different level. I'm working on it. I'll let you know when I get there. Okay? But everything is a lesson in avodat Hashem. Do you know this phrase? Avodas Hashem? It means I'm working Hashem. First few times Moti said that to me, I was like, sounds a bit like, I don't know, low level, like I'm working Hashem. Like, I don't know, it felt like I didn't like it. But it's what Hashem wants from us. He wants us to test him. Take the gloves off. He can handle it, right? So we must learn to live with the day one, week one attitude. This is Geula. We don't get derailed. We don't get depressed. We don't get discouraged. We don't have to. How much energy does that suck from our life?
Too much.
Holy cow. So we don't flip the switch and it's all gone overnight. But what do? We start minimizing the meltdowns. We start minimizing the closet time where we're rocking in the fetal position, right? Do you know how many times I say, I'm going to make an appointment to pout about that? I do not like this. Thank you, Hashem. And I am going to make an appointment and I'm going to pout about that later. But I don't have time right this minute because I got other stuff to do. I got bigger fish to fry. But I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to pout about you later. So I put like a bookmark in my mind. So I don't have time for a meltdown right now. I got other stuff going on, but I'm going to come back to you. How many times do you think I actually circle back to the
I was just going to ask you
to the
that.
pouting?
Does it just go away?
It goes away. I mean, every now and then, I will actually come home to a full-on pity party. Okay, and those are pretty. Okay, I'll invite you next time. Okay, but it's so much less than what it used to be. Okay, so there is no address but Hashem. So what does Geula mean right now? We're in the early first generation, first stages of Geula. What does it look like right now? I'm going to tell you. You ready? I won't leave you in suspense. It means stepping out of our small-mindedness. It means embracing our true greatness, rewiring our brains to absorb our true expansiveness. Okay? You are a daughter of the King, and you are absolutely limitless. Okay? Now, next week, when we get back together, we are going to start with a story that is going to bring all of this together in a very, very practical way. We're going to start with a story that will absolutely blow your mind in a very real way of how we've been living in prison and how hard it is to walk through the door. Okay, and then I am going to share with you, let me count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 practical tips on how we can learn to rise above our automatic responses that keep pulling us down into that old programming, right? Okay, so what are we gonna do in the meantime? Okay, we're gonna wrap up and summarize for today, and then we're gonna talk just for a quick minute about Purim. Because a week from now, we will be kicking off Purim. So we're not getting together next week for Power Hour. But we're going to talk about the mindset and what's happening in the world during Purim. Okay? So let's summarize quickly on what we're going to do in the next 7 days. 2 weeks. Dang, that's a long time. Okay. What are we going to do for 2 weeks until we come back for these 6 practical tips and a very real example that will help all of us realize what's waiting for us, okay? What we're gonna practice for the next 2 weeks, we're gonna practice starting those mental muscles. So it involves 2 things. Number 1, becoming aware. You will be in the middle of you'll find yourself in the middle of a lot of things and you're like, oh, I didn't wanna do that. How quickly can you stop? Midstream and pull it back in. Okay. Now there are also gonna be times where you've had the whole explosion, the whole unraveling. You've lost it. You've said whatever. You've done whatever. Whatever to disappoint yourself. It's already done, and then you're gonna be like, "Dang it!" Okay, that is still your moment, because normally you would then go on this whole deal of self-hatred, self-sabotage, self-loathing, punish, guilt, shame, and that cycle would take over. Guess what that is? That's the other side beating you twice. Okay? So the moment you realize it, thank you, Hashem, my muscle's getting bigger. And then you go on your merry way like it never happened. That's the exercise. Okay? So it's twofold. Number one is the moment of awareness. And number two is choosing to pull yourself out of the pit and literally turn the page. Like, I'm turning the page. Like, go like this. Okay? I'm turning the page from pity party to joy. That's your mental exercise for the next 2 weeks. Okay? And when we get back together, we're going to share some experiences. Okay? Some failure moments, some victory moments, and how you started catching yourself. That's what I want you to focus on. Is starting to catch yourself. Okay? And every time you can go, hiya. Give yourself a pat on the back. Like you can tell me in your mind, I got this. I did it. Okay? Pulling yourself out of the pity party and not letting it last a week is a massive victory. Don't sell yourself short. Celebrate the little wins. Okay? That is your mission for the next 2 weeks, should you choose to accept it. Okay? So let's very quickly talk about Purim. Okay? We got about 3 minutes for this discussion. Purim is literally exactly 1 week from tonight, Thursday night to Friday night, and then it goes directly into Shabbat. So I want to talk about the halacha and the custom as women, so we know if we decide that we want to take a new level of really observing Purim, it's way more than just costumes and groggers and parties and showing up for the Megillah. Okay? So the halacha is, the Jewish law, is we hear the Megillah, which is the story of the book of Esther. We hear it read from a Torah scroll twice. Once at night and once during the day. Okay? That's the actual law. That's the mitzvah. Okay, you can go anywhere to any shul in town. They'll read it from the Torah scroll. We have the groggers, the noisemakers, and you wear a silly hat or a costume and have some l'chaims. Now there's another minhag that says during Purim you should drink so much and get so happy that you don't know the difference between Mordechai and Haman, right? Between Achashverosh and Haman, the king and the villain of the story. Okay, now usually the women don't get that sloshed. It's usually the men, because somebody's got to be responsible. Okay, somebody's got to drive, right? But that's the halacha. And why? Waymo, there we go. And why is it the halacha that you would drink so much? That sounds like a very unholy thing to do. The custom behind this is that when somebody will have a little bit, not so much that you lose it, but a little bit of l'chaim, it puts the ego to sleep. It puts the other side to sleep so that your pure self can shine through. Because you're not so worried about your image and all the things that you say, looking around, all that stuff. So if you have a drink or two, it usually puts that to sleep and it allows you to actually experience the joy of Purim. That's where it comes from. Okay? Now, what is the energy of Purim? What's the Queen Esther energy? What does it mean to be regal to you? If I'm going to exercise my regal state, okay, we talked about this very quickly last week, but if I'm really living in my regal energy, am I being a victim? No. Am I letting anyone control my thoughts? Am I letting anyone control my emotions? Am I letting anyone control my state of mind? I'm choosing my own happiness. I'm choosing my own state. And even if I'm knocked in the gut, do you think Queen Esther or Queen Elizabeth, for that matter, the Queen of England, you think they're sitting around, oh, poor me?
Elizabeth, go on.
Okay, she's gone. But if we're using a practical recent example, no. Because I know the buck stops here. And as the woman, you are the thermostat of the energy in your home. Your responsibility is to set the temperature of the energy of your home. And if the energy in your home is poo-poo energy, and it's toxic, that's our job to elevate that and bring regal energy. Okay? But regality also has joy. So it's my job to choose joy. It's my job to breathe joy into my home. Do you know that Hasidim during the month of Adar, they dance every morning while they're davening in shul? You know why they do this? The Rebbe that was the head of Breslev, okay, Rabbi Nachman of Breslev, he said, it is our job to do whatever we can do to channel joy. So if you have to dance around and do silly things and skip around and do somersaults to make yourself feel joyful, it is your job to manage that. Because our emotions, if I'm wanting to feel happy, I'm not going to feel happy. But can you really get up and jump around and dance and skip around without smiling? It's impossible. So you throw your heart over the bar, you throw your body into it, and then the emotions follow. That's what it means to be joyful and regal. You know where the bar is, you're working hard to get there, you're not allowing yourself to feel like the inside of a pinball machine, being shot around everywhere. You're not allowing yourself to be a victim. You're choosing to take proactive energy. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to share with you is this. There was once a chassid of the Rebbe. Actually, he went on to become the head rabbi of England. And when he was a bacher, when he was young, he went to Oxford University when he was in college, and he came to visit the Rebbe once in Crown Heights. And he had a private audience with the Rebbe, and he said, Rebbe, he started off with his kvetching, his complaining. Rebbe, the situation in which I find myself. And the Rebbe didn't even let him finish, which the Rebbe always lets everyone finish. The Rebbe cut him off. He says, no. A Jew never finds himself anywhere. You put yourself there, and you can put yourself anywhere else you want. So in layman's terms, if you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree. Okay? So that's going to be our queen energy for the month of Purim, is we're going to start deciding and getting purposeful on what does success look like for you, for your family, for this season of your life. What does Hashem want for you? What is your soul calling you to do? We're not going to get there tomorrow, but we're going to start opening ourselves up to the process of the journey. Yes? Yes. Fair? Yes. And we're going to start channeling our queen energy all month long. And if you need a reminder, just call me. Okay? I'll help you channel that queen energy. And we will remind ourselves to be joyful, because that is a huge piece of it. Okay? So what's your assignment this week? Who can tell me again? Who can say it back to me?
Find my joy.
Find your joy is a big one. Yes. Okay? What else?
To catch yourself.
Yes. To catch yourself doing what?
Reacting.
Slipping, losing it, reacting. Yep.
Wear the crown all the time.
Wear the crown? We don't want it to slip, right? And then, after you catch yourself, then what? Reset. Thank you, Hashem. Turn the page. Yes?
Yes.
And we're big shoes. Can we do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Love you.
Every day.
You do it every day. How many times a day? That's the question. All day. Every day. Right?
The kids do it.